Hello, world. This is a sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker, and today is Wednesday, August 26, 2026. Usually start the program out with the weather. Today is no different in this area. The high today can be expected to be 86 degrees. Times of sun and clouds. Highs in the mid-80s and lows in the mid-60s. Tornado flips trucks, flattens French homes. Almost the same as yesterday in this area, up by 1 degree. And outside conditions for activities. Running is fair, cycling is fair, and gardening is good. The AQI is moderate at 55. Pollen, tree, none. Grass is low, and ragweed is moderate. Currently, the UV index is very high right now, and noticeable humidity with a light breeze at 4 miles per hour. Today, sunrise was at 7:02 a.m., and sunset will be at 8:15 p.m. A few items in weather-related news. Man versus tornado. He tried to hold the door. Low water levels threaten to shut off Glen Canyon Dam. Heat is forcing schools to rethink calendar. Winds toss planes like toys at Italy airport. So currently the temperature here in this area is 85 degrees and the time is 1:17 p.m. Yes, I know that's a little bit different than my early rise and shine program and timing, but got to do what you got to do. The things that I have to present to you today vary. We'll start off with some shocking news. In the sense that it seems like I just saw this person doing some interviews, maybe on a program or a talk show or something like that. Dolly Parton. The legendary Dolly Parton has sadly passed away. A representative for the Jolene singer said she died peacefully in Nashville on Tuesday, August 25th. She was 80 years old. Parton was preceded in death by her husband of nearly 60 years, Carl Thomas Dean. He died on March 3rd, 2025 at age 82. According to Parton, he was ill for quite a while and did suffer a lot in his final years. The couple who met in 1964 and married 2 years later never had any kids. There's been a lot of comments coming from entertainers, and other people that enjoyed Dolly's years in the field of entertainment. And articles are surfacing about different little things related to her career and her life. One of the things that caught my attention, which I did not know before, was this one. And I found it in an article, as things go. And it's related to Dolly Parton's tattoos. As most of the time, she usually had long sleeves on and some other kind of little outfit, and she did wear dresses. But here's the thing on that. Dolly Parton had a collection of discreet pastel tattoos that she mostly used to cover up surgical and keloid scars on her fair skin. What we know about her tattoos. Designs. She featured delicate, colorful pieces like butterflies, small angels, ribbons, bows, and flowers. Style. She avoided heavy black or dark blue lines, preferring soft pastel hues that blended with her skin tone. Placement. She kept them hidden under her signature long sleeves and clothing, noting they were not meant to make a bold public statement. First reveal. She first acknowledged having ink during a 1990s television appearance when a tiny butterfly and angel peeked out from her sleeve. Comedians like Roseanne Barr and Jennifer Saunders fueled rumors that she was totally tattooed after seeing her body art in private. When asked if she had a tattoo dedicated to longtime husband Carl Dean, she famously smiled and said he was tattooed on my heart. And as a side point, yes, Dolly Parton and Miley Cyrus are actually seventh cousins once removed, in addition to being longtime godmother and goddaughter. And from appearances, Miley Cyrus has followed her godmother in the area of having her own share of tattoos. Dolly Parton passed away yesterday, Tuesday, October 25th, at 80 years old. In the news, several items. The fall of Wicked. Excuse me. How an LA crime boss went down and took his gang out with him. I was not able to access this information because the LA Times, in order to read the article, wanted me to subscribe at cost. So I didn't get that detailed information. Next one, an African country is bringing back its own currency after 35 years of relying on the US dollar. Surprisingly enough, the country that they're talking about, and I guess I shouldn't say surprisingly enough, but Somalia is moving closer to restoring the Somalia shilling after 35 years without issuing new domestic banknotes, as the East African country seeks to rebuild monetary sovereignty after decades of conflict and reliance on the US dollar. A couple of bullet points. Parliament is reviewing laws for a currency board, and the central bank is finalizing regulations for reserve management and foreign exchange. Somalia is preparing to reintroduce the Somalia shilling after 35 years of not issuing new domestic banknotes, aiming to regain monetary sovereignty. The issue of new currency comes as battered Somalia shillings are increasingly rejected by businesses and as Somalia faces tighter international aid and security challenges. Similar to Zimbabwe's recent efforts to restore its own currency, Somalia must not only release new notes, but also rebuild public confidence, all while international support, especially from the US, is being reduced. Russell Wilson enters horse racing as owner. Let that stand on its own. Colin Kaepernick named Humanitarian of the Year. So, in this case, Kaepernick to receive Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Award. And this is dated yesterday, August 25th. Former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick, whose protest against racial injustice a decade ago made him one of the most prominent athlete activists in the U.S., received the Muhammad Ali Center's Humanitarian of the Year Award at a ceremony in Louisville on November 7th, the organization said on Tuesday. The senator said Kaepernick was selected for his advocacy against racial injustice and for efforts to support underserved communities through his Know Your Rights camp and other philanthropic initiatives. Going into news break, the headlines for today, August 26th. First one, Kentucky fast food chain launches trendy new snack after closing over 700 locations. Long John Silver's is the food chain in question or being mentioned, and they will be combining chicken with fish as an addition to their menu. I know it's kind of late in the day at 1:26 p.m., but here's one for all you students who are interested in college and pursuing your education. Let's see. Anyway, FAFSA approved student loan forgiveness for Kentucky borrowers' application period ends August 26. I was trying to actually find an article. But that stands on its own here in Kentucky, as is. Looking at my history notes here to see if there were any more details that I could pass along. So, the next one on the list for headlines is Northwest casually revealed she has dyslexia on live, and Kim Kardashian immediately switched into full-on protected mom mode. That's a video, so I can't really share that with you. In that sense, its entirety comes from one of the outlets. But they were just having a conversation, and North blurted out that she was dyslexic. And that kind of allowed me to look into some other things that were related to that same condition. So, but first, before I do that, I will relate this from Cat Williams in one of his stand-up comedy routines. He's talking about his son. One of his sons says, describing him this way. Say, I can put him to bed at 5 a.m. and at 5:30, he's right in there asking me, right in here with, good morning, Daddy, can I have some cereal? And the other thing he mentioned was that all he likes to do is run. So there was a discussion with the school nurse about him running all the time. So the school nurse said, well, you know, you could put him on Ritalin, and that might level him out. So Kat was already used to, you know, the boy running back and forth all day long, running back and forth all day long. So he gave him the Ritalin, And all of a sudden it was quiet. You know, I guess he said a couple of hours went by and finally said, well, maybe I need to go check on him. So he goes into his room and he was in there, as Kat says, just sitting there. He said, well, what you thinking about? And the little boy says, running. So on the matter of statistics regarding the idea of dyslexia, there were some points behind this as soon as I can get my ducks in a row, as they say. So it's not as widespread or it is recognized, especially in the school system. Dyslexia, speaking about that in this instance. So here's the information, facts regarding that. It says, what are the current numbers for dyslexia in children? Dyslexia affects an estimated 5% to 20% of school-age children, making it the most common neurodevelopment learning disability. Prevalence numbers and statistics. Major organizations like the Yale Center for Dyslexia and Creativity state that dyslexia affects up to 20% of the overall population. According to the American Psychiatric Association, approximately 80% of children with a diagnosed learning disorder have an impairment, specifically in reading, which is classified as dyslexia. Rising identification rates. Recent data shows overall parent-reported learning disabilities in U.S. children rose from 7.3% to 8.6% over a recent 7-year tracking period, reflecting better public awareness and policy changes. Between 25% and 40% of children with dyslexia also experience ADHD. So those are just the facts, you know. As we say, sometimes we are stronger together than we are alone. And her mentioning wanting to work at Starbucks, I'll add this one. Magic Johnson was relating some of his early investments. And he said that he bought a Starbucks and then bought another Starbucks and bought another Starbucks and ended up owning 125 Starbucks. He sold all of them, took that money, and made another investment. So, you know, you can't just dismiss things at face value. LL Cool J's wife, Simone I. Smith, turned her love of hoops into a jewelry empire. They're my superpower. Apparently, LL Cool J had been approached about starting a jewelry line, and he did not have an interest at the time, but his wife did, and she turned it into a thriving business. That's the long and short of that story. Keith Urban breaks down in tears singing over breakup on stage after Nicole Kidman divorced. I never should have let you go. Well, that's self-explanatory. Next in the headlines, Bill Gates sounds a chilling AI warning. Millions of jobs could disappear, wealth could pile up at the top, and robots may need to be taxed. Next one, Deion Sanders fights back tears over emotional childhood struggle with stepfather. Didn't want him to be embarrassed. Trump called MMR shot potentially lethal on camera. Then his own Medicare chief had to walk it back. Not a lethal vaccine. The world would crack. She's so right. WNBA fans react as Sophie Cunningham says it's okay to disagree in trans athlete debate. This has been a little bit of back and forth. And also, in case you're not aware, Sophie Cunningham, I think, I guess it's the proper word, is took a job as a ring card girl. You know, the women that walk around with the card ring, the round number between rounds. She took a job doing that. But here's my take on the thing with trans athletes. Up till now, if my memory serves me, the only ones that have wanted to do that are males. You don't see any women as trans, trying to jump up into male-dominated athletic leagues or organizations. So take it for what it's worth. And number 10 in the headlines, 5 people found dead at farm property, including a mother, grandmother, granddaughter, couple, and best friend, all wiped out by victim's boyfriend. This took place in Oregon. Continuing on news break, the top stories. Expert note an astounding coincidence about Dolly Parton's death. So it seems, according to the National Weather Service, now that we're getting into hurricane season, predetermined name for the next hurricane that's due is Dolly. Next in top stories, more than 50 kidnapped after violent gang attack on Haiti leaves 47 dead. If you were not aware before now that there's been a severe amount of civil unrest in Haiti, dating way back to the assassination of the president and his wife fleeing the island. And it's been a continuous back and forth between the government and gangs taking over Haiti. Parents say son fatally shot by police at the wrong address. Now this one, as always, when a tragedy of this nature occurs, you know, people feel bad, the family feels victimized, etc., etc. But this has a uniqueness because this happened in Pennsylvania, and the young boy, after spending some time with friends celebrating one of theirs 21st birthday, came to the back door of this home and began to knock. It just so happened that the homeowner was a policeman in this county in Pennsylvania, and subsequently fatally shot the boy. So my question is, how many of us, or how many of you worldwide, myself included, have not experienced someone you did not know knock on your door and you open it to see what's going on? I've done it, you know, and whatever the conversation was that ensued, whether they had the right door, the wrong door, was looking for somebody that didn't live at my residence, whatever the circumstances were that came after that, they were able to walk away. So, 3 Secret Service officials placed on leave amid misconduct investigation. If memory serves me, this is related to the sharing of Vice President's itinerary or travel plans. Continuing top stories, Nike brought back a 32-year veteran to save the $60 billion brand. 2 years later, its turnaround is still a long, hard slog. Exclusive. Justice Department considers bringing charges against ICE officer in Minneapolis shooting. This is one of those instances where the ICE officer involved shooting did not result in a death. The person was shot in the leg. And now the Justice Department is considering charges of bringing against the ICE officer. Dolly Parton gave away millions of dollars before she died. That is true. Whatever comes to your mind worldwide related to Dolly Parton, what comes to my mind is how Dolly Parton's Imagine library changed early childhood education. I'm a book reader myself. I like hard copies, and before I really got into saving things from online, etc., I had hard copies of all kinds of things that interest me. So her donations to Imagine Library, early childhood education, changed a lot of things for young people. And it just correlates, with the other things that I mentioned, all the way from Steph and Aisha to Priscilla Chan, and where we are now with people that donate their money, Oprah included, towards seeing that young people get a fair education that allows them to, be valuable in their lives. Target faces renewed backlash after stocking Halloween costume with minstrel show features. So obviously that must have been from October past. Ukrainian player leaves LSU women's basketball team after Kim Mulkey's squad signs Russian recruit. So, Ukrainian player whose father happens to be a drone operator in the Ukrainian army decided to cut ties with LSU women's basketball team after they recruited a student from Russia, or a Russian recruit, joined the team, or was scheduled. But according to the article, they did discuss it with the young lady prior, because she had already probably mentioned a sensitivity to the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. Masked suspect accused of menacing people. They changed that from women to people, but initially it was mentioned that he was doing it to women. People in Philadelphia arrested in Las Vegas. So apparently from this article, his residence was Las Vegas to start with, and he had relatives in Philadelphia who he traveled to see, and events unfurled from there. I wanted to mention school year's officially beginning. Here in Kentucky, there was an accident involving a school bus. And the school, this was from, just so there's no confusion, Bullitt County Elementary School. And the bus overturned. So at least we have any misconceptions about it. According to one fourth grader, young boy, his account says that a car was trying to pass and the bus driver was moving over to give him some room, and the wheel broke. Straight out of the mouth of a fourth grade boy with a little bandage right across his forehead right there. So several students, including a bus driver, were taken to the hospital. I think the total amount of students was 23. But it did lead me to some other things regarding employment in public schools. And this is not just talking about, here in Kentucky, but this is on a national level. For instance, age, according to national levels, there is no age limit where a person cannot drive a bus. In Massachusetts, it was documented that there is I don't know if this is current, I forget exactly when the article was published, but anyway, there was a man 84 years old who had been driving a bus for 60-some years. So the criteria, passing the physical and all components thereof, and having an annual physical, maybe bump it up to 2 times a year after age 70. But there's no age limit. And as far as the classroom is concerned, again, you just have, if you come in early, 21 years old or in your 20s, and continue for the specified amount of time, 20 years, that still put you in your 40s. So coming into the field of education, whether it's as a blue-collar worker, no disrespect intended, or as a white-collar worker in a classroom or administration, 70s, 80s, and even the 90s is acceptable as long as you were able to pass the physical. So any of you older ones that are sitting in rocking chairs that are not rocking and still have a curiosity about life and what goes on, then maybe that's something that you might want to do. Because very seldom do you find a field of employment where there's no top-end age limit, or top-end where you have to be go through mandatory retirement. So what I wanted to do, as they say in closing, I was thinking about Chinese proverbs and see if I can get my notes together here. Oh, okay. I thought I had saved it, but just 1 second, folks. I have to make notes to myself as to where I put things. So, and this kind of relates to North again, saying she wanted to work at Starbucks, but computers, World Wide Web came in 1993. Anybody born in the year 2000 is now at least 25 years old. Some of us grew up without computers and cell phones and seem to have managed pretty well. But all that being said, I said it was a Chinese proverb, but actually it's not, but here it goes. And this is advising parents. Do not confine your children to your own learning, for they were born in another time. So come to find out, it's not Chinese. The earliest appearance of that quote is in an 1877 book titled Gems of the Orient, compiled by Reverend A. Bush under a section labeled Arabic Proverbs and Sentences. Explanation: parents grow up in one era with specific rules, tools, and social norms. Children grow up facing an entirely new technological and societal landscape. Forcing a child to only know what the parent knows limits their ability to adapt to their actual future. And I will leave you with that one. This is The Sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker. Today is Wednesday, August 26, 2026. That's it. Hashtag